From doing a complete 180 by postponing his next bout till end of this year, to dismissing any speculation of an upset against Tyson Fury, here's Anthony Joshua revealing when his next fight will be. But before the big reveal, sorry Joshua fans, I gotta let you down a little. Just 2 days after announcing he wanted to get back in the ring within the next few months, Anthony Joshua has jabbed out fans' excitement, who were ready to see the former heavyweight champ reclaim his spot on the top of the food chain. Apparently, the Brit is set to be out of action until, wait for it, December. The 989 assassin Jermaine Franklin was, indeed, assassinated by the man who is hell-bent on going back to winning ways at the O2 Arena. Though, make no mistake, it was a grueling knock as Joshua tried to get the rust off those bulging biceps. He managed to make it through the 12 rounds to secure the win, after a drought that has lasted almost 2.5 years. If I were AJ right now, I'd be considering this a pre-workout and getting back to camp, getting ready for my next target. Through the rust, it was still a decent performance from the fighter. I mean, what do you expect coming from someone who took a 9-month hiatus from the ring after a sad loss that would change everything? Joshua acknowledged how long he was away from the ring after losing his title and, well, his dignity to Alexander Usyk, saying he doesn't want to hang up the gloves that long again. And even he seems bummed about the delay. He posted a story on his Instagram acknowledging how the situation isn't very ideal, but it is part of a bigger picture. Now that statement would raise a few eyebrows. Well, Joshua's boxing promoter Eddie Hearn painted quite the picture. He's already described a 3-fight plan for him. After fighting a top 15 guy, aka Franklin, AJ was expected to face a longtime rival in high-action sequel in the summer, a match he claims that has some swag to it. Yep, I'm talking about Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte. Honestly, everyone is rooting for this one considering the bad blood between the two. Their post-match brawl in 2015 left a pretty obvious to be continued in their story. The score is even at 1-1 if you count Dillian's win over Joshua in the amateurs. Obstacle 1 surpassed. Next up, Eddie Hearn thinks it's best his client steps it up a few notches. Here's a man on his own redemption arc after falling from glory against the Gypsy King himself. As he looks to recover from a legendary 2-1 defeat in his trilogy versus Tyson Fury, it looks as though the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder, seems to be the perfect dance partner for Joshua. Hey, Eddie Hearn may be all about that big picture, but even he knows throwing his client in harm's way against Wilder is nothing less than suicide. He mentioned on the Days in Boxing show that even though it might seem brave to fight Wilder on paper, but there needs to be a well-sorted plan, a camp with the right training team that'll get AJ in the rhythm for the big guns. Rob McCracken was leading Joshua's camp for the majority of the fighter's career, but after the Usyk fight, Robert Garcia was enlisted with the task of reforging the fallen hero for battle. Fun fact, the Wilder fight speculation dates back to 2018. It was a time both brawlers were on their A-game, but unfortunately couldn't get the formalities inked out in time. This was due to some friction between Eddie Hearn's team and Joshua's premier boxing champions. Well, according to the former unified world heavyweight champion, all the bottlenecks and red tape are a thing of the past. But wait, where to after that? Well, after Deontay Wilder, there's only one way to go: straight to the pot of gold. After the fight with Franklin, the world was expecting another cringe fest, considering what transpired against Usyk. Instead, speculation on the all-British dream match reignited. A calm and collected AJ was asked the all-important question: what's next? Is it going to be a rerun versus Dillian Whyte, or will it actually be the legend himself, Tyson Fury? Well, to answer that speculation, Joshua left it all to the fans. And needless to say, it was pretty one-sided. As the O2 Arena screamed, "Fury!" AJ set the record straight. The ball is in the Gypsy King's court to make the fight happen. He may not want to be the undisputed heavyweight champion, but getting the WBC title off the best boxer in the world right now is enough for AJ. But wait, are we getting a little ahead of ourselves here? Is it really smart going after the boss when the side quests are yet to be complete? Apparently, Eddie Hearn has given his client the green signal. Guess the 3-fight blueprint is open for tweaking after all. Eddie believes that even though the win against Franklin was a step down from the Alexander Usyk fight, it was still a true test of Joshua's mental fortitude. And he's not wrong. Coming from 2 straight losses against the Ukrainian superstar, all eyes were on if AJ could really clap back against a 21-2 fighter. Even though he couldn't get the KO, he proved that there was still a fire burning inside of him. There's no denying that AJ is putting in the work, and that Matchroom Sport will happily be open to negotiations with Fury's camp. The timing couldn't be sweeter, as talks famously broke down between Usyk and Fury in their own super fight. Joshua oddly seems to be the next best thing for Fury to quench his thirst for a blockbuster fight. The fans want it, the promoters want it, the pressure may be on, and as AJ put it best, they aren't getting any younger. Both fighters are in their early 30s and still very much in their prime, with an illustrious legacy behind them. They almost locked horns back in December, and even though the fight really didn't come through, Eddie Hearn confirmed that the contract is still very much alive. The Matchroom Boxing CEO has confirmed talks with George Warren, who is Fury's promoter, Frank Warren's son. Fury was on the pursuit for a ridiculous 70-30 in the Usyk fight, and even though he'll be getting a smaller 60-40 share versus Joshua, even Fury knows which fight will make the most money, and claims this to be the last chance for the world to see the biggest heavyweight clash in recent times. You see, as much as Joshua needs Fury to fight, the same can be said the other way around. AJ thinks Fury needs his name on his lips to overshadow the Alexander Usyk clownery. But through all the hype, let's see how some of boxing's legends think the match will pan out. Starting off with the OG Tyson, Iron Mike. Talking to BBC Sport, Mike acknowledged the fact that Joshua is a masterful yet flawed puncher, for you could see his bombs coming at you. Maybe against the likes of Franklin, Dillian White, or Andy Ruiz, they might just make the cut. But Mike warned that this flaw is asking for trouble against the Gypsy King standing 6 feet 7 inches tall. Needless to say, Mike went for his namesake for this prediction, and even left AJ out of his top 5 current boxers list. The former WBO cruiserweight champion Johnny Nelson, on the other hand, thinks Fury is a way better fighter technically, but when it comes to all-round prowess, there's no one better than AJ. He thinks the Watford-born has way more variety in his arsenal, leaning this prediction in his favor. But in all fairness, you can't really tell how good a fighter is until you're in the squared circle with him. Vladimir Klitschko is a man who's faced both Joshua and Fury at their very best. He seconds Nelson's claim of Joshua being a way-gifted athlete, with Olympic gold in his cabinet. Well, that's 2-1 to Joshua. The question then remains, will he be able to pull the upset? For that, we'll need to roll back the tapes at the O2. After the Usyk fight, Joshua was never the same, and up against Jermaine Franklin, we really saw that come into play. Famous fight game analyst True Geordie titled his analysis of the match best, "Anthony Joshua has lost his killer instinct." Jermaine Franklin is a 45-ranked opponent, and for Joshua to struggle against him really says a lot about how his eventual clash with Tyson will pan out. Not only barely went the distance with a fighter, he couldn't even knock Franklin down once. True Geordie continued his rant of how Joshua has lost his eye of the tiger. Where Joshua was known as the best combination puncher in boxing, he lacks the confidence and courage to actually go toe-to-toe with his foe. There was a lack of aggression, a lack of drive in Joshua. So if he wishes to reclaim his spot at the top of the food chain, he better get that instinct back and shoot down the rumors of an upset through his actions. All eyes will be on Matchroom as we wait for December to see whether it's Dillian White, Wilder, or the most likely candidate, Tyson Fury, in the next chapter of AJ's redemption arc. So, from dismissing any speculation of an upset against Tyson Fury to doing a complete 180 by postponing his next bout till end of this year, that was Anthony Joshua revealing when his next fight will be.